So I am 2 weeks postpartum tomorrow, and I was pumping for my parents. I had a little boogie, sorry. Because they asked me to, and about 4 days into it, they didn't ask me, they told me he was doing fine on formula, and they didn't want the milk. Except the milk had already come in, and I was so full, and it was so painful, so I kept pumping with the intent to either donate or sell it. I ended up not selling it, and if I'm not going to pump for him while he's here, then I would rather just wean it down. So I started to try to wean down this week and gradually cut out one pump every day and pump a little bit less. Except that did not work. I was making more milk by spacing them out than I was when I was pumping every 3 hours. And they get so full and so uncomfortable that I can't tolerate it. They were waking me up in the middle of the night. So I talked to my doctor, and he said, go cold turkey. Let me explain to you how painful going cold turkey pumping is when you're making approximately 50 plus ounces of milk a day. It is horrifically painful. I am at 13 hours since I pumped last, and the last time I pumped, I only took 3 ounces out of each breast, just enough to relieve the pain and pressure. Because I had to do something. I am in so much pain, it's not funny. I have got peppermint oil on my girls. I'm taking a shot of peppermint oil every 3 hours. Trying to. I've taken Motrin. My husband gave me some Percocet because I was in so much pain this morning. I've got him in the tightest bra I could find. I had to switch out bras because my sports bra was really tight. I sweat through, and I got stuck in this morning. So I was in so much pain this morning. I got in the shower and let the heat just let some of it drain, and that helped a little bit. And then my husband fed me Percocet, and that helped a lot more. It is horrible, you guys. I am shocked at how much milk a body can make. I'm just shocked. Like, I was so worried I wasn't going to make enough for him. And I made enough milk in the 2 weeks postpartum to feed this baby for a month, I feel like. I've got almost a full 500 ounces in my freezer. I'm donating it to a lady locally who adopted her grandson, and she only feeds him breast milk that's been donated or she purchases from somebody, but I told her it's gonna go to waste if I don't give it to somebody, so I'm just gonna give it to her. Holy crap, I'm just beyond myself. Like, I breastfed my kids, and I pumped with 2 of them because I had to work and I had school, and I just thought that was normal, that you could get milk out after you pump, but I don't think this is normal. There's a lot of girls in my surrogate pumping group who are not making this much milk, and who are like, I got up my supply, I'm not making enough. And then there's some girls who make like 100 ounces a day. I couldn't imagine walking around with 100 ounces of milk in your boobs all day. What are they gonna do when they stop pumping? How do you do that? I'm dying with just this. I would show you my boobs, but you can see them up here in my throat. They are horrible, and they're huge, and I look abnormal, and it's uncomfortable, and my big boobied bra that I bought for the pregnancy is too small. Like, I remember my boobs getting real big and full with a kid. Oh, excuse me. But damn, I've never exclusively pumped before where the baby wasn't taking it, and then I wasn't pumping to make a stash for myself. And I never stopped at this point at 2 weeks. Maybe that's the problem, is because I'm stopping it so early. It's horrible, you guys. I am dying. So here's my advice to surrogates who are planning on pumping. If your parents ask you for the milk, make sure they're serious, because this hurts. Horribly hurts. Like, I'm literally laying in bed doing nothing. My husband is like babying me, asked me if I want to go to the hospital this morning because I was in so much pain. It's ridiculous. Oh my god. On a side note, if your parents don't want the milk and you do want a pump, there is a company called Preemie's Milk Bank that works only with surrogates. And what they do is they take the milk and they make like milk fortifier, and they make breast milk products essentially for NICU babies. And they do compensate for it, I know that. But it is a very strict approval process, and I know that there are some strict rules. I would do it myself because apparently I've got enough. But I go back to work in 4 weeks, and I don't want to have to fart around with it at work because there's a lot of sterilizing and stuff that you have to mess around with. So I want to be dried up before then. And there's also, if you're looking to donate, there is donation groups. I know there's some of the girls that pushed me towards, or pointed me towards, like human milk for human babies. There's usually a lot of local groups for that. And then if you just search breast milk on Facebook, there's a ton of breast milk buy and sell groups on Facebook as well. But I encourage you guys to look locally and see if maybe there's not someone locally who needs breast milk or is looking for it. I happened upon the lady here in town in one of those groups accidentally. She was going to California to see her daughter and said she ran out of milk, and in the course of her asking, she mentioned that she lived in the same town as me. And I told her she can have it. She's more than welcome to it. I've got 2 weeks worth of milk and colostrum included, so go for it. So I'm going to take that to her tomorrow probably. But man, you guys, I am just shocked at how much a body can make. I did not even realize how much milk you made to feed a baby. I sound so stupid saying that, but holy crap. Holy crap. And I feel like I'm going to die. Alright, I'll update you guys. Hello, good morning everybody. It is very early here. Okay, so today is Saturday, and today marks, I believe exactly 2 weeks. Let me check. It marks, 2 weeks this evening since I have pumped last. So the last video you saw was just a few hours. I don't even think it was a full 12 hours after I stopped pumping after my last pump. I was extremely hopped up on Percocet. That video was done in a Percocet haze. I can see it. I rewatched it when I was making this thread of videos, and wow, you can like see it in my eyes. My pupils are so dilated. I was in so much pain even on the Percocet. And at that point, my breasts were so full that I couldn't imagine doing anything but exactly what I was doing, laying in bed. And my husband he told me, if you don't take the Percocet and take something for this pain, then I'm going to put you in the car and I'm going to take you to the hospital, because I was that uncomfortable. And it got better, but it took about 4 or 5 days. So on the 4th day, I woke up and I felt better than I had the day before. But not well enough to really resume my normal activities. Like I'm a cheer coach at the high school, and I skipped practice. I intended on skipping practice over Christmas break. We had optional practices. But that next week school had restarted, so practice was back up, and I basically missed that entire week of practice because just getting up and going out places was too much. On the 4th day, I made dinner, and I was very proud of myself for doing that, because the fact that I could get up and function was better, and I stopped taking the painkillers on that 4th day post cold turkey.
The fifth day I woke up and I was even better. And so I tried to start to do normal things. It made me very, very tired. And I realized I was only 2 weeks postpartum. But I didn't feel like I did with my kids. It's different when you're a surrogate. So you go to home, you get to have sleep and rest and all these things. But so I felt really good a lot faster than I had planned on. And then I cold turkey stopped cold turkey, and it was not enjoyable. And it basically it was like having a newborn at home. That's how I felt. Like I was that exhausted and that uncomfortable and that just overall unhappy with life. And so day 5 was a lot better, and every day has gotten significantly better. 2 weeks post pumping, and my breasts are almost back to normal. I have small spots of where I can feel like the milk is still in the breast, but I feel like I've got my breasts back. I'm almost contemplating using my non-pregnant bras because my pregnancy bras are starting to become a little too large. My real comfy one is too big. It doesn't stay in place anymore like it used to. So, I mean, they even are better from just pregnancy growth, normal pregnancy growth, not even the growth that comes with making the milk. So they're a lot better, and I'm starting to kind of exercise a little bit more, and they're not uncomfortable. I can put my hands underneath them, because even just at the beginning of the week, it's Saturday, and at the beginning of the week, I think it was like Monday, we had practice, and I was at practice, and I tried to put my hands, cross my arms like that, and I couldn't get them underneath my breasts because they were still too big. I do still have some tender spots like in the center of my chest right here. I think that's because that's where my bra press is, and so it stimulates it. And then underneath and a little bit on the sides towards like the outer parts of my breasts are still a little tender, but those are the areas that I can still feel milk in. So, but even now, I mean, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and on my full second day or second week, and they feel even better than they did yesterday, even better than when I fell asleep. So, some things I learned from this. One, I need to have a frank conversation with my parents if I ever do this again. I really think that it was a miscommunication. I didn't approach this subject with my parents about breast milk because I didn't want to feel like I was taking another thing away from them. It was really important to me that she get as much of this pregnancy as I could give her, which I imagine is important for all surrogates. But it was really important to me that she got to experience as much as I could give her, even though we had a humongous time difference and we lived on opposite ends of the world. And, there was a communication barrier and all these things. It was still important for me to try to give them and give her as much as I could. And so, and I think, like, looking back, maybe I was projecting how I would feel in that position if I was in her shoes a little bit. And that hindered me from speaking a little bit more openly and clarifying this, because it never crossed my mind that when she said,
Okay, sorry about that.
It never crossed my mind that when she was discussing milk with me, that what she meant was she wanted me to actually breastfeed. Sorry, I had to adjust because the sun came out. It never crossed my mind that what she wanted was for me to actually put him to breast and for me to actively breastfeed him. And I think part of that is due to, I can't imagine any woman, or very few women, I should rephrase, who would be comfortable with that. I mean, in general, breastfeeding is a very private and personal thing, and it's a very deep connection between yourself and your child. And I know, the thought of breastfeeding somebody else's child, for me, doesn't weird me out. I would totally do that. If somebody was like, oh my God, would you please, 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 whatever. I don't have a problem with that. It's no big deal. But in this case, I was a little weird about thinking about it. I got a little weird thinking about it, mainly because I felt like I had already taken so much from my mom. I felt like she has given up so much already just to have this child. These parents, they struggle with fertility and they go through however many years of disappointments and, negative pregnancy tests and periods coming when they think they're not going to. And then they get to the IVF point and they go, okay, well, the IUI is not working, or Clomid's not working. My own IVF transfers aren't working. And then they finally come to the realization that the only way they're going to get a child is if they do it via surrogate. So now they have gone through years of heartache and trying and emotions and feeling like a failure and wondering what's wrong with them, to get to the point where they have to rely on a stranger to have a baby, to have their child. So they've put their trust in a woman who does not speak the same language, lives in a different country on the other side of the world. And they're missing out on all of those little nuances, that horrible morning sickness that we hate, but it's part of it. The sore breasts because your breasts are getting bigger, the backaches and the sore legs and the swollen feet, and feeling your baby move, and learning the baby's personality before he or she even comes. And then they miss out on actually experiencing giving birth and having that moment. To then, knowing that you have given up all of that and knowing the emotion that comes with that, I can't imagine the feeling it would be to sit there and watch this woman that you have trusted, but it's not you, to then sit there and watch her nurse your child on top of it. So it never crossed my mind that when my mom asked me if I would give him the milk, that she was asking me if I would breastfeed him. And I come to that conclusion, and it makes me wonder that's what she meant, because of a few things. Number one, and this is like, it just dawned on me just now, even in the delivery room, they were asking how he was going to eat. And I said, well, they're going to take him to the nursery, because I asked them to take him to the nursery so she could have some one-on-one time with him, so she could have alone time with him and see him and just be her and him. I didn't even want to hold him. I didn't hold him. I didn't have him placed on me. I didn't hand him to her. I asked the nurses to do that. They were, my nurse asked me, do you want to hand her the baby? I said, absolutely not. I do not want to hold this baby in any capacity before she gets her hands on him. It's her baby. Just have her sit down and bring her the baby right here. I just want to see her be able to hold him for the first time. And so even then, she was asking how he was going to eat. Am I going to give him the milk? And I was telling her via a translator, it takes 2 to 3 days for the milk to come in. They will feed him in the nursery. He's going to be okay. But now I'm wondering, as if she wasn't asking me, am I going to feed him? Am I going to put him to breast and feed him? And I don't know how I would have felt about that, doing that. I would have absolutely done it. I think I would have been very weird about it, because I feel like that's taking one more thing away from her. And what a horrible feeling I feel like, to know that you've given up all of this and then to sit there and go, and I can't even breastfeed him. I can't do that because I didn't grow him, and my body can't do what her body is doing. And to me, that would just be so heart-wrenching. I can't imagine being in that position. And so it never crossed my mind that that's what they were asking. And then later, when she told me that she didn't need the milk, this is really where it triggered that maybe that's what she meant, was because she said, I was worried how he would adjust to the formula, but he is adjusting to the formula milk just fine. We don't need the breast milk. So I wonder if they were worried that, formula milk being artificial, he wasn't going to like it, his body wasn't going to tolerate it, and that's why she wanted me to pump for him. But I think that, the beginning question, I think she kind of wanted me to breastfeed, and I don't know a lot of intended mothers that would be comfortable with that part of it, because it's not something that's openly discussed in surrogate forums usually. I've actually only met one intended mom. I was hoping to match with her, but it was during a time when it was last summer or the summer before this one, where everybody, my body was being haywire, and I wasn't really sure what was going on, and I was ready to break that match that I had. And, you know, me and her were just kind of talking and becoming friends. And she had brought it up, you know, how would you feel about breastfeeding? Because I'm going to induce lactation. And I would really like my child to breastfeed so that when I go to feed it, then I can actively breastfeed my child as well. And I was like, absolutely, if I can grow it, I can feed it. But the relationship was a little bit different as well, and it was a lot more open, and I knew that part of it ahead of time. So, I mean, I would love to match with her again because she is amazing, and I just love that woman. But that wasn't how this topic was broached. So, things I have learned from this pumping endeavor is one, when you're discussing breast milk, especially with a couple from another country, or even if they're from this country, or even if they speak the language and you guys can understand each other, you absolutely need to be direct and clear, because I think that's what happened. I think our communications were not clear enough. I don't think that we understood each other. I don't think we were on the same page with it. I think she meant one thing and I understood a different thing, and those were like on totally different pages. So be very clear about it, because what they're saying and what they mean may be two different things. So sometimes you might have to do a little bit of digging. And number two is, I will not go cold turkey again. I will not do it. I won't put myself through that discomfort again. I won't put myself through that pain. I don't know if I was in so much discomfort because it was only 2 weeks after baby was born, or if it was because I was pumping and not breastfeeding, or if it was because I don't know why I was in so much discomfort. I've only stopped breastfeeding around 2 weeks once, but it was with my daughter. She was not a super great nurser. We had to supplement with formula because she was literally at the breast all the time. I do not remember my breast getting that full and engorged. I do not remember being in pain like that. I actually have a picture of me right after I stopped nursing her, and I'm at my mom's wedding, and I look happy and I'm fun, and I remember that day I was fine. And yeah, I won't do that again. You know, even if I do another surrogacy, I can't say for sure that I would pump for them unless we were all very clear. My husband is of the mind, he does not mind if I pump. He wanted me to pump just like I wanted to pump, because he knows the benefits that it comes to me, and he knows it's important to me. But I mean, I put 50 pounds on with this pregnancy, you guys, and I'm going to tell you, I lost 20 of them in that first 2 weeks. A lot of weight loss. I mean, and 20 after delivery, because I weighed myself after delivery, and I've lost 20 pounds since then. And he knows, I mean, he knows, and I know that the breastfeeding and the breast milk, pumping it out, helps me pull that excess weight off, and I don't have that now. So he's okay with it, but he has made the stipulation that if you're going to pump for parents, if we do this again, that there needs to be a commitment period, that we all agree we're going to do it for this long so that I'm not in this discomfort again. Because he didn't tolerate seeing me like that at all. Like I said in the first video, he actually said to me, if you do not take some painkillers, I am taking you to the hospital. And I was like, I absolutely will not go to the hospital because my breasts are full. That's not going to happen. So, I mean, because there was so much more than just me being in pain, you guys. I mean, I didn't get out of that bed for 4 days. I did not move. I laid there, I ate Percocet, and I drank water, and the kids brought me food. When they went back to school, I laid here and I would take Percocet and I would sleep all day. I mean, because I was in so much pain, but I was also sweating through my sheets, and I couldn't sleep at night because they were waking me up. So I was up all night anyway, even with the sleepy effect from the narcotics. But I mean, I just finally washed my sheets because I finally just stopped sweating through them this week. Like 3 or 4 days ago, I've had 3 or 4 nights where I haven't sweat through them, but I was like legitimate. I had a towel sitting here by my bed. So in the middle of the night, I would wake up and I would have to put a towel down underneath me because my sheets were wet. And this is my body pillow. My body pillow was soaking wet and freezing ice cold because I was, sweating so much from the milk. And I got that before with my middle boy. There was a point where I didn't breastfeed him. We went on like a day trip to Vegas to see a family member, But I didn't nurse while I was there. I took breast milk with me because I didn't want to nurse in front of the family member. I was real young. I didn't know any better. And so it was like 6-7 hours by the time I got to nurse him. And I got sick on the way home. I told my mom, like, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm freezing. I feel like I'm running a temperature. My boobs hurt and they're sore, and I really need to nurse this baby. And my breasts were rock solid. And I got sick that night. And so I laid on the couch and I just let the baby nurse as much as he want. And I pumped out some extra. And as soon as I got my breast to a semi-normal state, the fever and the chills and the sweating all went away, which is essentially what I was doing every single night. And so, it was more than just pain and discomfort. It was like a whole systemic effect on my body with this thing. So I don't know that I would pump again. I would really like to. And if I do pump again, I may just say, no, I won't pump for the parents. I may just pump for the milk bank that I mentioned, and go from there. But I don't know. Yeah, I've saved all of my pump stuff, just in case, because I did tell my parents that I would be happy to carry for them again. And they said that hopefully next year they would like to try for a daughter, which is in my time frame. I would like a year off before we approach the subject again of carrying another baby, with a little bit better planning so I don't deliver around Christmas again, because I'd really like to not spend Christmas in the hospital giving birth. Yet again. But no, it was a logistical nightmare having this baby around Christmas. So I want to try to avoid that as well. But as far as the pumping goes, yeah, I can't say that I would pump again unless it was for a milk bank or there was a commitment time period with that. And if I do pump, I absolutely will not go cold turkey. It's not going to happen. I see my doctor this week, actually, and he is going to get a strongly worded paragraph about how cold turkey is the worst idea he has ever had in his whole life. I do appreciate that while I was talking about it, he said, I really don't understand how you feel, Ginger, because I've never made breast milk before in my life. My body can't do that. But what I can tell you is I think cold turkey is the best option for you, because if you try to wean off and do what you're doing, I think you're just delaying the inevitable. He said, if you're making that much, I think it's going to take you longer than what you want to wean down, and if you get to that point, you're still going to be in just as much pain. So I'm glad I followed his directions and I stopped now, because I go back to work in tomorrow will be 3 weeks. 3 weeks from tomorrow I go back to work, on the 11th of the 11th of February I go back to work, and I can't imagine having to do this and having to work. I would be sick as a dog. So I'm glad I did it now and got it over with. But yeah, I won't go cold turkey again. Nope. So that is my pumping debacle. I am back to normal. My girls feel better. I'm thinking about switching, like I said, back over to my normal people bras, because they're still big, but they're not as big as they were. And I don't even feel like they're as big as they were when I was pregnant. So that's really exciting. I feel like they're much more normal boobs now. And then that's that. So if you guys have any questions about pumping, let me know. Or about anything I had to go through with this, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.